Hey y'all, welcome back. In this video, I'm going to be teaching you how to teach your dog to lay down or how to do down. And as you can guess, the hand signal for down is this. Downward palm going downwards. Down. So why teach down? Number one, down is a very reliable behavior. It can be as reliable or more reliable than sit. It depends on your dog's preference, but it really sets your dog up nicely for mat training or place that will come in the future. Down can also be used to help promote calmness. Now, a dog that's laying down doesn't necessarily mean that it's calm. However, you can start to cultivate calmness if your dog is in a very comfortable down. And my whole video, I'm going to be showing you how to get that comfortable down. Now, believe it or not, down is probably one of the hardest behaviors we've ever had to teach, believe it or not. The reason being is because some dogs just do not want to lay down, especially if they're feeling uncomfortable or the area they're in is not as comfortable as they would like, meaning that maybe they're in an area where there's other dogs, maybe they're in public and they're not used to being public in certain areas. So down can be a hard behavior depending on where you're asking it, just like sit. However, we're going to be teaching you this in the comfort of your home. So you're going to have a higher likelihood of success with giving that down. And if your dog is still struggling with down, maybe they won't go all the way down, or maybe they're struggling with how to follow that lure. I'm going to show you some really cool tips to help you get that down, even if your dog is struggling. So here's a few disclaimers on down. Down is not the same as telling your dog to get off of you. So I really want you to make it a habit that if your dog is jumping on you and you don't want them to do it and you want to have it on cue for them to not jump on you, make sure you are saying the word off instead of down. If you keep saying down when your dog jumps on you after you taught them down, you may find that your dog may get confused or just flat out not listen to you. So off is get off and down is lay down. So make it a point to not confuse those two words. And also make sure that the surface you're having them lay down on is a surface they prefer. I'm not saying that your dog will never be able to lay down on a harder surface, but you're probably going to have better success if you start off on a cushiony surface first and then try down on a harder surface. Now, I don't show down on a harder surface in this video because honestly, I never really asked for down on hard surfaces. I always provide my dog with a cushiony surface of some sort. So I really want you to make sure you try it on a comfortable area first before bringing it off to a harder area, okay? Another thing that I'm going to try to teach y'all, but the reason I'm saying try is because every dog is different, is something called the hip roll. So when you start teaching your dog how to lay down, you may notice them give you a very sphinx down. A sphinx down where the legs and the front legs and the back legs are very lined up with each other. That's a cool down, but it's not the down that I want. I want a down where the dog is like relaxed on the hip and actually relaxed. And I'm going to show you what I mean with my own dog so you can see her relax on that hip. And you'll see what I mean by that down being more reliable than a sphinx down. Another thing I want to explain is something called shaping. So my dog already knows down. However, she was struggling with down in this video and you'll see it. However, shaping means that we reward or reinforce the dog for successive approximations, which simply means that as the dog gets closer to the desired behavior, we are reinforcing every step that is closer to that desired behavior. So there's going to be a point in this video where I actually have my dog go under my leg to show you how you can use your leg to help convince some dogs to lay down. And there's going to be about a 10-second interval, very short interval, where my dog is actually not all the way down, but her butt's in the air in like a bow position, and I am still reinforcing her for getting closer and closer and closer to the behavior I want. This type of training is going to be super helpful for you to understand. Shaping is something that you absolutely want to do if your dog is struggling to get the actual behavior we want. So I hope that this video is going to be extremely helpful, and stay tuned. Alright y'all, let's get started. So my head is going to be chopped off for most of this video so you can see more of the dog. And I want to grab my lure. So your lures, you can use a medium value treat, but you may have to go for higher value depending on the difficulty of this behavior for your dog. It really depends on the dog. And don't feel bad if it's difficult, y'all. Like I said, down is not easy. So I have her on a cushiony surface, the puzzle mat. I want to ask for a sit without saying sit. I'm going to lower downwards. Yes. Treat, then free. Boom. Now, it's not going to be as seamless for your dog as it is for mine. Again, she kind of already knows this. However, if it is that seamless, cool. If it's not, keep watching because I have a cool video to help you out. Yes. Yes. Treat, and then release. So, the reason I'm putting her into a sit first is because sit is halfway of down. If you ask for a sit, your dog is already halfway down. So if you find that you're having problems with down, ask for a sit first. And that way half of your work is done. If they keep popping out of that sit as you lower their hand downwards, then put them back in that sit and try again. And the moment that whole body hits the floor, I say yes, give it a treat, and then I'll release the dog. Yes. Right. Again, y'all, it really depends on your dog, their style, their feelings, and how they're feeling on the surface you put them on. But you really want to make sure you mark and reinforce the moment that body hits the floor. Let the body hit the floor. Let the body hit the floor. So to reiterate, you're going to lure them into a sit without saying sit. Bring that lure directly in front of their face. And the moment that body hits the ground, you say yes, give a treat, and then release them. In the next video, I'm actually going to show you how to shape down if your dog is struggling with going down, period. If they're just not making the connection and not going all the way down, this video will help you. In this video, I am shaping down for a German Shepherd puppy that keeps on popping up after I attempt to lure him downwards into a down. I highly recommend pausing this video, this segment, several times to read the text, and I also recommend just rewatching it if you missed some of the text. So in this video, I am shaping down. Like I said, I am reinforcing him the closer and closer he gets to the desired down, which is his body on the ground. I have a fistful of treats, so a huge lure, and I'm actually slipping him treats the closer and closer he gets to the desired down. And I'm going to show you again. All right, here we go. I am slipping him treats the closer and closer he gets to that desired down, which is the whole body on the ground. So you don't have to withhold treats until the dog completes the behavior quote unquote correctly. You can slip them treats the closer and closer they get to the behavior you want. And I recommend doing that just to make sure your dog doesn't get frustrated, and that way you can slowly reinforce them to get to the behavior you want. Now, making it really slow-mo, I'm also, I don't know if you could tell, I am moving my fist towards his chest, away from the chest, to see what I can do to further convince him to put that entire body on the ground. He was really fighting right here, as you can see. And I'm still slipping him treats. The longer he stays crouched, the more treats he gets. However, if he gets up, the treats stop. But if that body is the ground, jackpot treat. And I definitely did do a jackpot treat for that. Another thing I'm doing, y'all, is that I am on the ground really close to his level to further convince him to lay down. You do not have to stand up. You can sit down with your big dog or your small dog. And if your dog is small, I do recommend sitting down to help further convince them. Show you one more time. Regular speed. Fistful of lure. I am reinforcing the closer he gets. However, if he pops up, the treats stop. Reinforcing it slowly, reinforcing it, really trying to see what can help him go down, pushing that fist back and forth, keeping that fist low to the ground. And the moment he does that, jackpot treat. I'm giving him the most treats for what I actually want. Anyway, y'all, highly recommend replaying this segment if you're dealing with the same issue. And also, I want you to read that text if you're able to. And the next video is another way to help shape down. All right, y'all. So I have my beautiful leg right here, and I have my dog on the left side of my leg. What I'm actually going to do is take a lure, and I'm going to convince her to crouch under to go under my leg. I'm going to show you how you can shape down with a smaller dog or a big dog.
Yes.
To help convince them to go down. So I'm going to reinforce her the closer she gets to that behavior.
Yes.
So I said yes for her head ducking, and I gave her a massive jackpot treat for going all the way down. I'll show you again.
Yes. Yes.
I gave her, said yes, I gave her a treat for going halfway down at least. And then I'm going to give her, I'm still luring her forward, yes. And I'm going to give her a jackpot treat for going all the way down. This little method right here is a really great way to help convince your dog to lay down without necessarily pushing them down. I'm just using my leg as a tunnel to help convince her to go under my leg to shape the down behavior.
Yes. Yeah. Good job.
And remember, I started off with just reinforcing that head ducking, and then her getting more and more under my leg, and then I eventually just waited for that full down, and she went all the way down, which was really great to see. This is a really great method for small dogs, bigger dogs. It really doesn't matter. I've used this more though with small dogs. She's offering me chin rest right here. That's the behavior she knows.
Yes.
All right, y'all. Hope that was helpful. All right, y'all. If your dog is laying down reliably, we can now move on to the next step, the hip roll. So I'm going to take my lure and then bring it over her shoulder towards her back to convince her to roll onto one of her hips.
Yes.
Just like that. I'm going to choose a side that my dog is more than likely going to roll on, and then I'm going to say yes and reinforce it. You can see her body relaxing on that side. Now, a lot of dogs naturally already do this. So really look at your dog, and to see if they're already doing it, go ahead and reinforce it. If they aren't doing it, you can use this method to convince them to do so. Now, this isn't mandatory. However, it's just a further added help to convince your dog to relax and stay in that down a little bit more. Now, as you can see, my dog is already doing it, but I really couldn't tell from my position. But as you can see, that's a very good idea of the hip roll right there. And again, this is not mandatory. It's an added element to help further convince your dog to stay in the down.
All right, Sasha, leave it.
And I'm going to show you again.
Yes.
And then she goes rolling onto that hip. Just like that, y'all.
Free.
And to bring back the German Shepherd puppy, you can actually see him do a natural hip roll without my interference. So watch his hip. Any day now. Boom. You see his leg is more exposed. That's because he is actually rolled onto his hip on the other side. All right, y'all. And to put it together, I'm going to have her do a sit. I'm going to lure downwards.
Yes. Good.
Boom.
job.
And there goes that hip roll. You won't always have to lure them into that hip roll. Around this point, they should start offering it to you.
Yes. Free.
And you may find that they are already naturally rolled into the hip when you do lure them down from this point on. Here's what that natural hip roll looks like.
Yes.
You see her already on her side. That right leg is more exposed. That's exactly what I was looking for. Here's another clip of that hip roll. Boom, just like that. All right, y'all, let's attempt this without a lure. No treat in the hand. I'm just going to use my hand signal, which is the downward palm going downward.
Yes.
I'm going to say yes and then give her a treat. Now, I am standing up straight. You may find that you still have to crouch to convince your dog to stay in the down. Sometimes they release themselves as you move up.
Yes.
to work against that, you notice how slow I'm moving. I'm not making any fast, sudden movements. I'm trying to make sure I don't move too fast as to convince her to jerk up. But I'm moving very slow to convince her to stay in that down. And I'm also releasing her. I'm saying free. Really watch my body language, because everything I'm doing right now is to convince her to stay in that down, even though I left her on the ground. Because again, she's small and I'm pretty tall compared to her, so she's very tempted to follow me. And you'll find this is true for a lot of our smaller dogs. Bigger dogs too, they're very in tune to our body. She goes again.
Up, do it again. Yes.
Just like that, y'all. So yes, really great. All right, y'all, continue to practice with no lure in your hand. And again, we're still not saying anything. But now what I want you to start doing, I want you to start trying to see if you can convince your dog to lay down without you having to lean all the way over. Trying to make it easier on y'all backs, okay? So I want to see if they can just start following that hand signal versus your whole body, as you saw right there in that rep. You see how my hand is at my waist? I started this off by leaning all the way down with my hand being below my knee, and now my hand is at my waist, asking her to go down. Awesome, right? And once that's proficient,
Down.
you can then add the word down.
Free.
You say it one time. And I do sound really
Down.
stern, but I promise you I'm not being stern.
Yes.
It's my voice.
Wow.
You say it one time. If they get up, put them back in that down with that down signal,
Good job.
and then release them.
Down. Yes. Good job.
Just like that, y'all.
Good job.
She's already rolling that hip, which is perfect. Again, y'all don't have to stress so much about that hip roll. I do feel like it comes naturally after over time. So if your dog did not give you the hip roll in that step, just go ahead and skip that step and try to see if they just give you a down that they hold. And eventually that will turn into their comfortable down, okay?
Down. Yes.
Just like that, y'all.
Down. Yes.
Another thing that I am doing is that I'm actually placing the treats between her paws, just to convince her that, you know, being down is the position you really want to be in.
Down. Yes.
Just like that, y'all. All right, y'all, I hope you enjoyed this down video. If you have any questions about anything, please post them in the bitch community so we can address it during your next live coaching session. Anyway, y'all, I hope you had a great time watching this video, and I hope you have a great time training your dog. Have a good day, y'all. Bye-bye.
You free? It's a good girl.